Have you ever thought that a simple bug bite could turn into a full-blown infection? Neither did I. But let me tell you, when you are living with lymphedema, even something as small as a gnat bite can set off a chain reaction that could send you to the doctor's office with a painful, swollen arm and a prescription for antibiotics. Or worse, a trip to the ER and IV antibiotics if you aren't quick. I came close to the latter. If you've been diagnosed with lymphedema, been told you're at risk for it, or you know someone who has, you need to pay attention to this. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Rachel, a 2-time cancer survivor, and my goal here is simple, helping you live your healthiest and happiest life in the simplest way possible by sharing what I've learned along the way. Whether it's healthy habits, tips, recipes, or potential health challenges like the one I'm talking about today, I want to make sure you feel empowered and informed. If any of that appeals to you at all, give me a thumbs up and a follow. A little engagement from you really helps the channel to grow and reach more people, and I really, really appreciate it. Now, I am not one to complain or to share too many personal stories for a few reasons. First, I tend to be a private person, believe it or not. And then I don't want people feeling bad for me or sorry for me. And I don't want to scare people. But sometimes a personal experience can be a real learning opportunity, and this was a big one. If you've seen any of my videos or heard my story, you know that I developed lymphedema after my second cancer diagnosis. I've worked really hard to get it under control, and I have been pretty diligent about avoiding triggers. But this situation caught me by surprise. I was wearing my sleeve and my glove, and I thought that I was doing everything right. I had no idea a couple of tiny bug bites could turn into a lymphedema flare-up and lead to a painful infection. But it did. So I thought this was a really important story to share, because if I didn't think about it or was surprised by it, I am sure there are others out there who really need to know this too. So here's what happened. Last week, my brother, my husband, and I were standing outside talking, and we were getting swarmed by these tiny gnats. I mean, swarmed. My husband was literally brushing them off me like I was some kind of a bug magnet. They were all over me, but they barely touched him and my brother. Seriously, I must look like a giant buffet to them. That said, my husband ended up with a few bites on his belly that itched like crazy and swelled up a bit. But good Lord, I was getting eaten alive. The gnats were biting me everywhere that was exposed. My legs, my arm. I didn't even think about my affected arm because I was wearing my compression sleeve and glove, and I figured that would keep it protected. These things are thick. They're very thick and snug. The bites on my legs and my other arm were driving me crazy, but my right arm seemed fine. Fast forward a day or two, and that arm started swelling more than usual. I wasn't really alarmed. I just figured it was a mild flare-up, just one of those things. Then, Thursday or Friday, I hopped out of the shower and I noticed something weird. Bug bites under where my sleeve had been. A lot of them. They didn't hurt and they didn't itch, so I hadn't even noticed them before. But by Saturday, my arm was still a little swollen and my compression sleeve was starting to feel tight. But, I was still just marveling at how those little buggers had managed to get under the sleeve. We went out of town with some friends for the day, and as the day wore on, my arm got more and more uncomfortable and heavy and a little red. I chalked it up to the warm day and being in the sun. These sleeves are hot. But by the time we were headed home, my arm was actually painful. When we got home, I decided to use my pump to take the swelling down, but I could not even finish the session because it hurt that much. That night, I couldn't sleep, despite trying everything to relax. The discomfort was just too much. By Sunday morning, I knew something was really wrong. My arm was red and hot and incredibly uncomfortable and tender to the touch. So I went to see a doctor. Fortunately, he was familiar with lymphedema because, surprisingly, a lot of healthcare providers know very little about it. He told me that I was in the early stages of cellulitis caused by those damn little bug bites under my sleeve. Now, I knew that lymphedema put me at a higher risk for infections like cellulitis, which is an infection of the skin and deeper tissues, so I've always been careful, very careful. Lymphedema makes your skin more prone to infections because your lymphatic system is compromised. When your body can't effectively drain lymph fluid, it creates a breeding ground for bacteria, especially if there's an entry point like a small cut or a bug bite. And here's the thing, clearly it doesn't take much. Even something as small as a few gnat bites can cause problems. Studies show that people with lymphedema are at a higher risk for cellulitis. Once it sets in, it can spread fast and cause significant swelling, redness, and pain, just like what happened to me. And if it's untreated, it can lead to more serious complications like sepsis, which is life-threatening. Even in the couple of hours it took me to get my prescription filled, it got worse. Even with all my precautions, this still happened. So if you are dealing with lymphedema, take it from me. Don't hesitate. Don't think it's probably nothing, or I don't want to make a big deal out of nothing. Trust me, healthcare providers would rather you be safe than sorry. If something feels off, go see a doctor. Thankfully, I was lucky. Yes, I had cellulitis, but the infection hadn't spread far enough that I needed IV antibiotics. I am on a 10-day course of antibiotics now, and fortunately, things are under control. But this was a wake-up call. I mean, who think bug bites are going to be a big deal? I live in the Midwest, United States, for God's sake. I'm surrounded by corn and soybeans. It's not a tropical jungle. Under normal circumstances, bug bites are just annoying. But with lymphedema, it is an entirely different story. And I learned that the hard way. So, what can we do to prevent this if you have or are at risk for lymphedema? Here's what I've learned. First, always protect your skin. Wear insect repellent. Yes, even around your compression sleeve. I never thought about it before, but bugs can bite through fabric or sneak into little gaps in the sleeve. Next, moisturize your skin. Keeping your skin hydrated makes it less prone to cracks and breaks, which can be entry points for bacteria. Then, regularly check your skin. After being outside, especially if you've been bitten, take a minute to check your affected limb for any signs of irritation, even if you have been wearing a sleeve. Then, monitor swelling. If your arms is more swollen than usual or you feel discomfort, take it seriously. Swelling, redness, warmth, or pain are all early signs of an infection. If you wear it, be consistent with your compression wear. I was wearing my sleeve and my glove, but that doesn't make you invincible. Stick to your routine, your care routine, but stay vigilant for any changes. Here's the bottom line. If you notice that your affected arm is more swollen than normal, or you see redness or feel heat, or you feel feverish and achy, don't wait. I am so glad I went to the doctor when I did, because if I hadn't, the infection could have gotten much worse. Cellulitis can spread quickly. Trust me, I know. It's happened to me twice before, and both times I ended up in the hospital with IV antibiotics. But those were after surgeries, so I wasn't really shocked by them. But bug bites? That's a new one. I gotta tell you, it makes me kind of angry at myself and at the situation. I've worked really hard to get my lymphedema under control, and it's likely going to take a while to get back to that point again. And my gut. If you have watched my other videos, you know that I focus a lot on getting my gut microbiome and my immune system healthy. And now 10 days of antibiotics is setting me back again on that front. But hey, silver lining, it's a learning opportunity and maybe a teaching moment. I can absolutely do this, and I know how, so it'll be fine. I am very lucky. So that's my story, and hopefully it serves as a reminder to you that lymphedema, or even just being at risk for lymphedema, requires us to be extra cautious about things we might otherwise overlook. Who knew that a few bug bites could trigger such a serious issue? I sure didn't, but now I do, and I hope you'll take this lesson to heart as well. If you've had a similar experience or you have tips of your own, leave me a comment down below. Let's help each other out. And if you know somebody who's dealing with lymphedema, share this video with them. As always, thank you so much for watching, and please, please take care of you. Bye-bye.